Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. A Lagos resident, Oyinkansola Talabi, has written to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu accusing the sub-lessor of her apartment complex at Pebble Rock Apartments in Oniru of attempting to force entry into her room, especially in her home, in a contravention of a subsisting court order. Talabi claims the incident involved individuals including police officers and persons claiming to be court bailiffs, resulting in damage to her apartment door handle despite no lawful eviction notice having been served. In a petition dated February 2026, particularly the month, and addressed to the governor through the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Talabi says she relied on a High Court order issued in December 2025 that restrains a sub-lessor, Green Birch Tech Limited, from collecting rent or demanding payment from tenants, directing all payments to be made to a court-appointed receiver.
Talabi also highlights broader concerns affecting tenants, including non-functional facilities, intermittent electricity, and ongoing disputes over billing arrangements, and says neighbors had to intervene to stop the attempted forced entry. She's now calling on the governor and relevant state agencies, including the Lagos State Special Task Force on Land Grabbers, to investigate the matter, enforce the court order, and protect residents. To help us understand what exactly has happened from the horse's mouth is the lady who's been directly impacted by this. We have Oyinkansola Talabi with us in the studio. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I mean, I think I would say well done on being able to fight for your right. But we need to get a broad picture. So, from the reports we hear, you're relying on an earlier court judgment in December 2025. Take us to the very beginning of your issues with the apartment.
Oh, the very beginning.
Yes.
So I moved in, I think it was 2023. And when I was moving in, when I went to size the place, the elevator wasn't working. The space I was looking at was on the 4th floor. And they said to me, oh, the lift isn't working. It just stopped working before the end of the week. It will be sorted. I moved in, same story. They're working on it. It will soon be sorted. 2 years down the line, still no elevator. And this has been the case with everybody. So when the people on the 5th floor were coming in, they actually had people open up the elevator. So we were excited, thinking, action, something is happening. But no, it was because people were moving into the 5th floor. So they made it seem as if the place and that the elevator was being worked on. So that in itself shows the history of the lessors of this building, where they make claims to tenants moving in, they give you all the lies, and then you move in and then you find out that there's actually no proper management of the space. I mean, we were buying NEPA electricity from a third party. Then in 2024, Eco Disco came and cut our power. They said we had not been paying, but we're all paying monthly. Turns out that they were collecting the money and we're not remitting it to the Eco Disco. So we are the ones now trying to sort that out and pay off that backlog. So fast forward so we were already complaining that this place is poorly managed. The swimming pool is barely functional. If the kids want to swim, the parents are the ones that then pay as in, okay, clean it up so that the kids can use. There's no management. And so
you're paying a service charge.
We are paying service charge. And if you don't pay your service charge, or if you question, what does the service charge cover? They start to victimize you. They cut off your power. They cut off your light. They cut off your water. That's their MO. And so we then were tired of that. And so we actually took them to court because we wanted to take management of them. But then fast track to, so that was already ongoing. Then December last year, we got one of our neighbors posted on the group that there's a court order that says that she just saw this thing on the gate, but that the guys were taking it off, the security were taking it off. And so she posted the picture on it, and it was a court order saying that we should not pay. So it turns out that Green Birch don't own the building. And they have not, so they leased it from the original landlord, and but they have not been remitting payments to him. So they are collecting rent from us. They are not remitting to the landlord. So he, breach of contract, takes them to court. that he wants his building back. Then the court rules in his favor, and hence the court order that we shouldn't pay to Green Birch, but pay to, then they appointed another party that these are the people that, the receivers that we should
Who appointed?
pay.
Was it the court?
The court.
Okay.
And so all of that was pasted on the door, on the gate. And then the neighbors saw that, shared it with us, so we then had the information. But Green Birch never contacted us, never said anything about it. Instead, that same December, they started harassing tenants that their rent was just coming due. Turned off their power. There were people in the building that went through Christmas with no electricity because they cut them off from it. Meanwhile, the court says that you cannot tamper or harass the tenants. Even the tenancy laws says that you can't turn off power, you can't turn off water, you can't restrict movement in and out of the space. So fast forward to me. My rent came due in November. I paid 70% of my rent. By end of January, one morning I heard a loud knock on my door. Around 7:30, I didn't open the door. And then a few hours later, the facility manager then called me and that he wanted to see me. I was like, I don't want to talk, but tell your managers that by the 14th of February, I will make my payment. I will make the balance of the payment. And then another neighbor reminded me that, no, actually, there's a standing order that we shouldn't be paying these guys. So fast forward to the 6th of February. It was a Friday evening. I'd gone out for a work function. I had a friend that wasn't feeling well that was staying at mine. And then she's calling me frantically. I know while I'm at this thing that somebody's trying to break in. Somebody's trying to break in. I'm like, what do you mean by someone is trying to break in? She was like, there was loud banging on the door. And then the banging became louder and louder, more violent, and that now they're actually fiddling with the handle, and that the one on the inside is coming loose. She was freaking out. So I called a neighbor and said, there's something happening at my door. Please go and check it out. So he goes upstairs to check it out, and he sees these men. He says that there were about 6 of them with 2 police men as well, armed policemen. This is Friday evening. So they come, he goes there and he's like, what's going on here? They say they have a court order to evict. Who's giving you a court order to evict at this time of the day? And then we also have a court order that says that we shouldn't be paying these guys. So what are we supposed to do? So those guys then see the court order. They say that they're from a court in Ikeja. Our court, the court order that served the one that we were standing on is from Lagos Island, the High Court in Lagos Island. So these guys, those guys were like, thank you for showing us this, so that they didn't know, that those guys didn't tell them the full situation.
The Green Birch people.
Yeah, the Green Birch and Ijele. Yeah. Ijele is also one of them. Isaiah Davis Ijele is also one of them, and he's a politically inclined person. And for me, so anyways, let me finish my incident. So he says to them that that there's a standing order, and then they're like, oh, thank you for letting us know. He shared it with them. They were like, they didn't know that they would have been in trouble if they had carried out the eviction. So they left. Ijele, Green Birch still didn't contact the tenants to say anything. Then they called a meeting. They called a meeting. So I shared it with the tenants, as in, this is what has happened to me. Then he calls a meeting the Sunday, a virtual meeting, but would not let me into the meeting to defend myself, or to not even defend myself, to question him as to what happened on Sunday. On Friday, what happened? Nothing. So when the other tenants tried to ask, as in, what is going on? Are we supposed to be paying? So they were trying to insinuate that people should pay. They were like, well, you know what? Send us a written letter that we should go against the court order before anybody will make any payments to you. And that's where the conversation has stopped. For me, I'm like, okay, the court has now issued this order. We are here standing on that. And then they have the audacity to break that court order, come in and unlawfully try to unlawfully evict me. It wasn't even unlawfully evict me. It was a breaking and entry that they were trying. There's no basis for it. Even if there was a basis for it, there is a process to eviction. There was no notice, nothing. You just show up at my door and say you want to evict me. Based on what? I feel very violated. I feel very harassed. There was no need for this. There was no reason for this. And on top of it, what pains me the most is that they had done this to somebody else in 2024, and that there's a ruling that came out on that saying that it was unlawful, and a standing order that is now out for their arrest, for Ijele's arrest, for Green Birch Lawrence arrest, and for the facility manager that was in that building when it happened. So now that facility manager was then moved to our building because they apparently manage a couple of buildings. Now that facility manager was moved to our building and has been picked up because the police are now the court is now trying to enforce that standing order. So they are looking for Ijele, they are looking for Lawrence. And then they still have, with all of that going on, they're still breaking the law. There are other, since I put out my open letter, other people have reached out to me that they've had similar experiences with Ijele and Green Birch, and then other landlords and stuff, other people sharing as, oh, this has happened to me too.
It's basically like a modus operandi.
It's a modus operandi. So their plan was to evict me and then lease out the place to somebody else. Another tenant comes in, has no knowledge of the background of the story. They collect the money from that tenant, and then by the time the new landlord, the original landlord takes over, it becomes you paid outside of the standing order, so your rent is not. That sounds
fraudulent.
Yeah.
Who is Ijele?
Very fraudulent.
He's one of the partners.
What's his full name?
Isaiah Davis Ijele. Okay. Unfortunately, he's a political person, and he comes on TV. He has been on this channel. Oh. He has been on Arise. Yes. And he talks about he will call INEC into accountability, as in, hey, you guys need to be accountable. He will call Tinubu and the president into accountability, that they need to be accountable. But you're not being accountable in your own private life.
Where are we at the moment? What's the status quo as we speak?
So as we speak, we are not even clear anymore, because they are on one hand trying to harass us to make payment, but there's a standing order that says that we shouldn't make payment. So what I've had to do... Do you have
direct line, sorry to interject, do you have direct line of communication with the owner of the building?
No, we don't. So what I had to do was write the governor, because again, I'm trying to just make noise about it, because at the end of the day, they are defying a court order. I copied in the Attorney General, and I also copied in the citizens
Office of the Public Defender.
Yes.
Yeah, Minister of Justice, Lagos State.
Yes. And then my lawyer also wrote to them and copied the lawyer of the original landlords whose standing order was, so that they can then add it to their case that this standing order has been defied, and what next. And also calling to accountability their lawyers, because they have lawyers that are working with them. Their lawyers know what they are doing.
I mean, it's the level of impunity that this has been going on for many years, and it's because one person that was wronged refused to speak out or make the type of noise that you're making, that others have become victims of this very dubious organization and people.
Yes, and that's why I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to speak up. I know, because at the end of the day, they've already harassed me. They've already come to my door. So what's the point of being quiet? Worse things can happen.
All right, we live in a time where rent is a major problem in Lagos State, especially. We've seen how rent prices are skyrocketing. We've seen how landlords have possibly evicted tenants, all in the name of we need to renovate. And then, of course, after that, the rent prices goes up. What would you say is the real intent of wanting to, in a way, ignore the court and the order and try to evict every possible person, or bring about these challenges or attack, especially coming at your door unannounced?
It's to evict, it's to bring in new tenants. So you evict these old ones that don't know anything about the case, and then bring in new ones that have no understanding that there was a dispute in place. So they'll bring them in, those ones will pay rent, and then by the time the order is, or everything is sorted out between, the judgment is being enforced between the original owners and the courts, and they return ownership. These guys are then left at the mess. The landlord can decide to throw them out because, there was a standing order that you shouldn't pay. So you pay to these guys. They can't acknowledge. At this point, we are even lucky that the court acknowledges that they are sitting tenants. And also the standing order was like, okay, there are tenants in the building right now. You guys pay to these guys. And as opposed to just, ignoring the fact that we're there. So we're grateful for that, but in giving a standing order, there should be enforcement. So when the bailiffs were coming to paste it on the gate, it should have been on every door, so that everybody knows, everybody is aware that this is the situation that we're in. They should have actually taken over. Whoever it was that the court appointed, yes, they haven't come to us. They pasted something on the door, but they have not made contact with us. They should have come and made contact. Now, Green Birch is the one that handles the security of our...
And facility management.
Yeah, so they're the ones that, the security men at the gate are their guys. That's why they can open the gate for their own court bailiffs and their own police to defy a standing order. Okay.
So, there's so many issues that arise, and we will reach out to Isaiah Davis Ijele as well.
Please.
And we'll reach out to him and hope that he and maybe representatives of Green Birch can come on the show and we can hear their own side of the story. But from the meeting, you mentioned that at the last virtual meeting, which you were not allowed into, that he had asked for them to pay rent and they had insisted on a writing. Is that where it ended? Did he confirm that he was going to give a letter?
He said he didn't agree to writing a letter. And they even said managing their words because they realized that somebody may be recording them. So they started managing their words. But no, they didn't say that they would put anything in writing.
And what is the situation like in the compound? If this company that you have issues with, the tenants have issues with, is still the company managing the facility, still the company in charge of security, what is the state of living like in that apartment or in that?
Traumatizing. Traumatizing. We had a meeting yesterday, and a few other people that had their power turned off.
Oh, there are still people who have their power turned off till now?
Yes.
Wow.
And they were like, that they're traumatized. If they can come to my door, what is the possibility that they can't come to other people's doors? As in, it's a security breach. So we're actually feeling very insecure. As in,
and vulnerable.
And vulnerable. Anybody can come to our door right now and try and evict anybody. So it's a traumatizing moment right now.
Question that might be on the minds of many people watching us right now would be, this company, you said right from the get-go, service was terrible. Just something as basic. It's not even basic. It's a major issue. You live on the 4th floor. There are even people on the 5th floor. If you can't take care of, and you've promised to take care of an elevator, and I give you 1 year, you haven't done that, and I noticed that I'm not getting the value of my money. Of course, I'm not going to renew rent or stay there. So they'll be wondering, why you've been there since 2023, why do you choose to remain with this in this building?
I like my flat. I like my space. It's a nice space. It just needs to be properly managed. I know there's a community there. I know, as in, the neighbors, we've made community. I know, so it makes things bearable.
It's the other party that is not fulfilling their own end of the bargain.
Exactly, and then you're harassing us. And then when we do ask you, break down service charge for us, what does it cover? We have builders within we have architects, engineers within who are tenants as well, who are like, this is our generator problem, it can be solved like this. This is our elevator problem, can be solved like this. But they're not even taking advice.
So the issue now is they do not want you to take management away from them.
They don't want us to take
And your initial plan as tenants is to take management. Do you want to handle the management yourselves, or do you want to give it to another management company?
We want to handle it ourselves.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I think my final question would be, what would justice for the residents of your estate look like?
Ijela and Green Birch being arrested first, at least let's enforce, because there's a standing order for their arrest. So let us enforce the orders that have been put out. There was a reason why the judge said arrest them. There's a reason why the judge said, another judge said don't pay them. How about we enforce those first? So I would encourage the governor to please investigate. Investigate, don't just take my word for it. Investigate Green Birch, and if they are found guilty, shut down their business, because the governor, at the end of the day, they're pushing a bill to make property and housing a more viable business option for people. I know, but how are we going to trust the process if standing orders and court verdicts are not being enforced? How are tenants going to trust this new tenancy bill that they're trying to push? How are we going to trust it if nothing is enforced, if we're not safe? What's the point? It then all becomes, because there are fantastic laws, the challenge we have is enforcement. And we're trying to make Lagos a safer place. We're trying to make it a business hub. Well, if people are here doing business criminally, then what are we going to do?
That's a good one to look into. Well, let's also announce that we're going to reach out to Mr. Ijele, and of course, Green Birch, as it were, to give them the first right of response. And we hope that they will definitely answer to our call and be here to also mention what they're doing to right if there's any wrong at all, and if they deem it fit to see it as a wrong. But on that note, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and you have my best wishes. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And also just to mention that there are many tenants who are going through all of these challenges and more. The stories are indeed stories that you would hear that would definitely be heart-wrenching.
Being a tenant is hard in Nigeria. And it's really hard in Lagos. And I say this as someone who doesn't own her own property yet.
I'm sure you've now appreciate your situation better.
Well, but I still have my own fair share. In the past, how many years? I've moved houses. I've lived in my third house within 5 years.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
And to come about this money is very hard. It's your hard-earned money, and you're not getting service. And then, blackmailing. How can you be
even
watching
when you were
your
asking
words
her why she's
in a Zoom call with your landlord?
You're not doing me a favor.
You're not doing me.
I'm paying my rent.
Exactly.
I'm paying my service charge.
I'm not saying a free house.
It's hard. So for people who, and I can understand the sentiment of the tenants who stayed there, because sometimes you think, I'm not going to start this again. When you get a house, you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to stay here for like 4 or 5 years. So you set up the house in a way that you like. So the idea of uprooting everything and starting that hunt again, I'm not sure if you get a house that meets the financial implications. Houses have increased 100%. It's really rough. It makes me sad. And the law should always typically tilt in favor of the tenants, because it's really, really sad.